welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new, welcome. Today I am here with the bestest friends ever. This is my friend Krista. You guys met her in my soap video.
Hey guys.
This is Kristen and Amanda, and we are getting into the Halloween spirit and sharing some ghost stories. So if you guys are interested in hearing some really spooky stories, make sure you guys keep watching. Who wants to tell her story first? Want me to start with one?
Yeah, sure. Get the ball rolling.
Okay, I'll tell one and then we can like take turns.
Okay.
Alright, so you guys may have known this about me. I don't know if you guys remember, but in early high school, don't get mad at me if you guys are against this because I was a teenager and I was just experimenting with things. But one of my friends in high school was super interested in like really spooky stuff and like ghosts, and she always said like her house was haunted and everything. So she was really into that stuff, and we got into like doing the Ouija board together. So one time we were doing the Ouija board in my room, and previous to this, like all the other times we did the Ouija board, it was like nothing really spooky happened. It was just like we did, we'd always ask the ghost first if it was a good spirit or a bad spirit. So basically we would say like, if you're a good spirit, go towards the sun, because there's like a sun and a moon on the board, and if you're a bad spirit, go towards the moon. So this one time, instead of going to the sun like I always did, like we'd have like normal communication and it would work. This time I went to the moon.
Creepy.
Yeah, it was a little creepy. So, and it like as soon as I went to the moon, we're like, okay, like we don't want to communicate with you anymore. We'd like you to go. Please say goodbye. So we held the planchette in the middle of the board, and you want to get to say goodbye. Like that's the main rule with one of the main rules with Ouija board. You always have to say goodbye. You can never leave it open.
I'm already freaked out. I was out like so fast.
Mind you, my little brother Jeremy, he was like maybe, I don't know, he was probably like 8 or something. I don't even know how old he was at this time. He was young. He was sitting here watching us, and he's like, oh my god. He's like freaking out. He's about to like leave my room, and then he comes back and he's like, but I really want to see what happens.
I come back with like holy water and be like, I'm prepared, but like I want to see this goes down.
Yeah. So we're like, yeah, please say goodbye. And instead of going to goodbye, it starts to count down the numbers.
Wait,
Okay,
so you have to keep your hands on the thing,
Yeah, so-
and then let it move.
So yeah, basically how it works is like both people have to keep their hands on the planchette, and just like very light pressure. So your fingertips are touching it, no one's moving it, but like you feel, it's so weird. Like you feel the pull, like it feels, and like you're always freaking out. You're like, did you move it? Did you move it? Like
I remember these
and you're like,
stories.
yeah, and you like almost don't like trust each other,
Yeah.
right? But like she swore that she never moved it. I can 100% like swear on my mother's life, like I did not move this thing. Like I could
That's
feel the
so
pull. It was so
creepy.
weird. So anyways, it started counting down the numbers, and if you're not like aware of like the Ouija board and how it works, basically if it starts to count down the numbers, it means like a demon or something is trying to be released.
No.
Yeah. So we're like, I'm not having that.
No, we're going back to 10.
No, so we instantly, as soon as we saw what it was doing, we pulled the planchette back to the middle of the board, and we're like, no, like you have to say goodbye. And then it started, like literally pulled and started counting down the numbers again. Because
I'm getting my teary thing.
What?
Just
I know.
I can feel like the hair standing
yeah.
on my arm.
My
Yeah.
leg's doing the weird thing.
It was
Talking
crazy.
about,
And like this is where it kind of gets a little blurry because it's probably like 2009, 2010. But like I think it happened about 3 times until we're like, okay, like no, like we command you to say goodbye. And I think once we said like we command you, I think that's when it finally said goodbye. I can't remember if we like pushed it to goodbye or if it did it itself. I can't remember because that's another thing you can do. Like if the demon or whatever it is like doesn't say goodbye, like you just push it to goodbye. But part of me would be like, did it work then? Like did it really say goodbye? But like nothing happened after this. Like I didn't have any like freaky things happen. I think that was like, I may have done, I don't know if I did the Ouija board after that, maybe like a couple times, but I don't think anything really
that is
spooky
bold.
happened.
Yeah, I'd be done.
Yeah.
Do you know if you and I do it one time?
We did it once, yeah.
And I think it kind of
It
moved.
moved a little bit. We didn't get like a lot, but
Yeah, another
my
people
one
do that.
friend and I, like, Emily, like, we got like a lot from that board. But I think it's
creepy.
because I think she maybe had some sort of like connection or something, because
Or,
like she had
spiritually.
spiritually, like she had a lot of weird stuff happen in her house. But like, yeah, it was weird. I had like the Ouija board up in my closet for like another how many years? It was just recently I got rid of it. It was just sitting up there. Yeah, I just
like, did you burn it?
I actually gave it to Goodwill. Is that a bad thing?
Yes.
I couldn't bring myself to burn it because like it was just like a glow in the dark Ouija board from Toys R Us. Like what can I really do?
I will apologize to that person on
I'm
the
sorry. Maybe the Goodwill people burned it. I don't know.
So.
Maybe.
Oh my god.
But I got rid of it because like when I first started dating Ian, he saw it in my closet and he just like flipped his shit. Like he was not happy
He was
about
like,
it.
it's
'Cause
me
he,
or the
like-
Ouija board.
Yeah, he grew up in a haunted house, so he's just like doesn't like anything like ghosts,
Yeah. Ooh.
paranormal, anything like that. So I'm like, okay, I'll get rid of it if it's bothering you that much. Like I don't use it anymore anyways. But like,
It's like the scene on a scary movie where they open up the closet and they find like something horrifying inside.
Yeah.
Where
Yeah.
it just like zooms in on the Ouija board.
No.
oh my god. But yeah, that's my Ouija boy story.
Wow, that's
Almost unleashed a demon, but I
Yeah.
didn't.
I was gonna say I have a Ouija board story too. It's like not me personally, but my grandma's like a really religious person,
Yeah.
and she's totally against Ouija boards now. Because back in the day, she had a neighbor, and she brought over the Ouija board, and they're like, "Oh, like this can't be real. Like, haha, we'll just like play around with it." And they lived in Toronto at the time, and the lady that came over was like recently divorced. She had like a couple kids, and they were just joking around, and she's like, "Oh, am I gonna get remarried?" And it was like, "Yes." And then they're like, "To who?" And they're like, and it spelt out John, and he ended up saying it was gonna be a farmer, and she was gonna have like 3 more kids. So like, oh, like that can't be true. Like, ha ha ha, right?
Yeah.
And so my grandpa's was really religious too, and he came in and he saw it there, and he's like, "Oh, ask what year I came here from Italy." And my grandma didn't know, and she was the one that had it on. Like she didn't know the exact date and
Yeah.
day of the week and year, and it did it exactly, like month, date, year. And that's when he's like, "You need to get this out of the house."
Oh my
so,
god.
Like, yeah. So like since then, just like we're not allowed to have Ouija boards. I don't want it.
That's so
But yeah, it's
weird.
like she could not have like done it herself or pushed it because like she didn't know the exact like to the T date. Only he did.
Oh
And
my
he
god.
spelled it out. So like I don't know. Something with Ouija boards.
Oh,
just,
that's so
yeah.
creepy. That's so
It's like,
crazy
ah.
how like knew everything. Oh,
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
Don't
Yeah.
like them.
I've
Oh,
never
okay.
used one. I don't think I want it.
Yeah.
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 I probably wouldn't use one again. Now I've like heard other stories and stuff, but like I was just like I don't know. I've always been into like paranormal and all that stuff. So like when I
Yeah.
was younger, it was just like an interesting thing that I wanted to like experiment with, but probably won't do it again.
I was gonna say the weirdest part of the story I almost forgot too is she did end up marrying a farmer named John
Oh.
and had more kids.
That's insane.
So like
Wow.
that's like the really weird thing too, because they're like, how would that end up happening when you're like
That's so
in
weird.
Toronto, like not looking for anyone? But
Oh my
yeah,
God.
so something's going on with Ouija
Oh,
boards. But
all right. So, ooh, do you want to tell yours next?
Yeah. Okay, let me see. Let me text Justine really quick.
Yeah, so Kristen has a story, but it involves her little sister Justine. So we're gonna try and get her on FaceTime, Skype,
Yeah.
whatever it is. I don't know what it is. See if she'll help with the story.
Ooh.
Oh, nice chocolate.
Ooh, this is
Best
like...
part of Halloween.
Did this
Yeah,
happen in your old house?
No, actually, and that's what's kind of funny is that I grew up in a century farmhouse that was like built in like 1860 something, and like I don't know, like I grew up being afraid of like being alone in the house at night and stuff like that, but we never really had anything supernatural happen. But like literally, we know people died in that house. So
Yeah.
like if there's any haunted house, it's gonna be that one. Yeah, we actually had a rocking chair that somebody died in, like sitting.
I
in it.
remember that rocking chair.
What?
I sat in it.
Yeah.
we'll just keep it.
I don't know why
that's
we did that. I guess my parents were like, don't want to be wasteful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a quality rocking
It's
chair.
If you got rid of the rocking chair, like maybe the ghost would think that's disrespectful,
Yeah.
and then they'd start
Yeah.
haunting your house.
Yeah. So smart move.
Exactly. And it's not like the rocking chair like moved in the corner or my dog barked at it or anything. So like it was fine. It was fine.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically like I grew up in a creepy old house and like we didn't really have like anything happen like this. But basically when I was 17 for my birthday, my mom took me and my sister on a road trip. And we kind of like have spent a lot of time in Florida and places like that when we were kids. So I guess we just decided that like going south would be fun. So we went for like 11 days, I think. And we drove down basically the East Coast. And we stopped at like South Carolina and like went to the beaches. And then we did a couple of other cool like touristy places. And then our last like furthest south spot city called Savannah that's in Georgia. And Savannah is like, I don't know the stats, but it's like one of the most haunted cities in America. Like there's been some really messed up stuff that has happened there, like Civil War stuff and like plagues and I don't even know. And so while we're there, we're like, okay, like we're gonna go on a ghost tour. Like that's cool, right?
Yes.
So I'm 17, my sister's I think 12. So it's us two kids and then my mom. So we buy tickets to go on this ghost tour. And it's like a walking tour, so you just meet up with your guide, and it's nighttime, and they like walk you around the city, and they show you like the fronts of houses.
That's so cool.
And
Oh,
tell you ghost
I love
stories.
that.
I really want to do something like that so bad.
And Savannah's like such a cool city because it's like a, I don't know the name for it. I think it's called like a wet city. Like basically you can like go into a bar and get a drink and then come out and walk around.
Yeah.
So it's like just kind of like a little like in some ways kind of a party town. So it was funny to go on this ghost tour because she'd be telling this creepy story and then some like drunk guys would walk by
And just screw
saying
the
stuff.
vibe.
Yeah. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, we saw a lot of really creepy things on the tour. Like they talked about how at some point in time people were like getting really sick with something. I can't remember what it was, like some kind of plague type thing. And I don't know, not the Black Plague obviously, but like something like that. And people were just being buried like apparently in city parks because they just didn't have cemeteries
That's
to
insane.
like bury this many
So there's
people.
bodies under the park?
Yeah, so they're like saying how like if you dig in the city parks you can find like human remains. And at some point we did
Casual.
Just going for a casual walk
Like-
over some bodies? Like,
It's like, oh, tulips, daisies, human skull. Like, I don't know.
Don't dig too far in the
Yeah,
sandbox.
exactly. It's messed up.
Mom, what's this? Pulls out like a kneecap.
Put that back, Jimmy.
Yeah, so when we were walking, at some point we saw
It's
a
not a
lady,
rock.
like, digging in the park, and we were like, she was like, oh, just ignore her, and we're like, okay.
I feel like, no, I need to ask questions.
Yeah, exactly. So, one of our stops on the tour, to the point of the matter here, one of the stops on our tour was at this house where I wish I could remember the history of the house. I tried to look it up today and I couldn't really find it, but I'll tell you what I remember. I think there was like a youngish couple, and they had a daughter, and then at some point the mother passed away, so it was just the father and the daughter. And the father was like very resentful of his daughter and like abusive to her. And I guess the daughter did something that made him really mad one day. So to punish her, he like made like their maids tie her to a chair and then put her out in the front window and then told them not to feed her, give her food, or give her water for like a day. And like in the South, I think it was like July or something. So in the South, it gets like insanely hot and insanely humid. So the girl died, like tied to this chair in the front window. Yeah, and like this house has been abandoned for a really long time because they say that like construction crews keep going in there, people keep buying it, and no one will like stay in the house renovating it because too much freaky shit happens. Sorry.
Oh my god.
But yeah, it's like basically like supposed to be super like haunted, still abandoned house.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And it's apparently supposed to be possessed by these things called like the old hag, and they like so I don't know, I didn't know what they were before, but I looked up a little.
That's where the theories come from for like sleep paralysis, right?
Yeah,
Like
so
the old hag, yeah.
just wait.
Yeah.
So
already
the
feeling
night
it.
hag or the old hag is the name given to a supernatural creature used to explain the phenomenon of sleep paralysis. It is a phenomenon during which a person feels the presence of a supernatural, malevolent being, which immobilizes the person as if sitting on his or her chest, or at the foot of his or her bed. So the lady just like told us the story about the father and the daughter, and then she was like, oh yeah, and this house is supposed to be like super possessed by hags, and they latch on to people who are like emotionally weak and blah blah blah, right? And like I'm standing there, 17-year-old girl, being like, I remember feeling like sick to my stomach, and I was like, Mom, like this place is making me super uncomfortable.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh
and so like I don't know, who knows? We finish off the tour, and I'm like all like freaked out. And we go back to the hotel room, and like this is where things got really weird, and like I just want to like I just want to like put a disclaimer out there that like I know now what sleep paralysis is, but I only learned what it was 2 years ago, and this was in 2011 that this happened.
So you're like demon possession.
So I was
It's gotta be that. How many logical explanations?
I was lying in my bed that that night, and I think I fell asleep, and then I woke up, like, on my back in bed. Oh my god, I'm gonna knock over the table. Like, unable to move, like, feeling like I was frozen in place. And I had this, like, pressure on my chest, like, my breath was being, like, sucked out of my lungs. It was really crazy. And I don't know really how long it lasted for, but I just remember, like, trying to talk, trying to move, and, like, I couldn't. And I had never had that before in my life.
See,
That's
this is the thing that weirds me out, though. Okay, so I've had sleep paralysis, like, many times in my life. And I'm, like, well aware of, like, the psychology behind it. Basically, like, the psychological explanation for it is that, like, your body goes into goes into paralysis every night because that just protects your body from hurting itself or anything while you're dreaming, so you're not moving around and stuff. So basically, when you have sleep paralysis, you wake up from your dream, but you're still, like, in that dream state, but you're like starting to wake up, but your body hasn't woken up yet, so that's when you have that thing. So, like, but the thing that weirds me out is that, like, that you would just suddenly have this experience, because not everybody gets this, and it's not like, you know how you watch, like, a scary movie or something, and that puts ideas in your head, and then you have a scary dream and nightmare? Having a scary nightmare is way different than having sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
So the fact that you had that is also kind of, like, weird, like, could have been something else, because you're in this, like, super haunted town, right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
It could have very well been something else.
So that's, like, that was terrifying for me, and I was, like, I don't know, I guess I was a kid, and I got, like, really scared, and so I just didn't say anyone to, like, I didn't say anything about it to anyone, ever.
Really?
Like,
You didn't tell your mom?
I didn't tell my mom, I didn't tell my sister, I didn't tell anybody, because I was like, was it a dream? I don't know. So, that was in 2011, and that happened to me, and it's, like, it was the first and only time I had sleep paralysis. So, fast forward to, like, 2017, and my sister, she's, like, a runner, so she was looking at schools to go, like, run for in the States and get a scholarship. I should call her.
Yeah, call Justine.
Yeah.
I'm already, like,
That's crazy,
really
though.
freaked out. Oh,
Yeah.
and, if that was me when I woke up.
Uh-huh.
Like, oh my god, like,
Yeah.
trip over!
I was
Oh
like,
no! Oh my god.
Like, out of here now. Oh my
I
god.
was like, I'm out.
Maybe I should share some of my sleep paralysis stories, because they're
Yeah.
pretty creepy, too.
Yeah, those are scary as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you there,
What she
Justine?
doesn't pick up.
We need your story.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hey, Justine.
Oh, hello. Hey, Bean. Wait, should I turn the volume up? on
Yeah,
my
turn
tab?
it, like, as loud as you can get it.
Okay. Do you think it'll be loud enough?
I don't know.
I don't know. Bean, say something.
I'm afraid of it.
Hello.
I don't think it's
I'm
loud.
gonna record your voice on my phone, and then I can put subtitles for them.
So, I'm just gonna tell
The first time?
the first time, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then, so I'm just gonna tell the story about, like, what we did the second time. Do you remember when Shane went up to the front of the building?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you think he actually did that, or was he just telling us that?
I don't know. I think it's just creepy. Like, I don't think it's a coincidence. Okay, alright. Let's go back to the beginning of the story here. Okay, so it was 2017, and we're going to look at schools for my sister in the States. And one of the schools she was going to was in Savannah. So, again, it was me, my mom, my sister, and then this time my brother came. And my mom was all like, oh my god, we need to go to the ghost tour again. Like, it was so cool. And I'm like, sure.
I'm not traumatized enough.
Yeah. At this point, like, I hadn't said anything to anybody about, like, what happened to me on the first time. Because I was, like, still too freaked out about it. But, so we went to, like, Savannah. And we went on the ghost tour. And, like, we went to that house again. And, it was just pretty freaked out. I don't know. Justine, did you get freaked out?
Yeah, I got really freaked out too the first time we went. I remember like in the hotel that night I couldn't fall asleep, and then the second time I was like the same. I was completely freaked out by it.
Yeah, and so basically what happened was our brother, being an idiot, went up to the front door of the house and looked in the window and was like, we live on blah blah blah, our address.
Oh my god!
I
He
feel
told
like
the
you
ghost
know
where you live!
He told the ghost, like, he told the
Don't
ghost
tell them!
our home address.
Oh my god.
And then he's like, come get me, or something like that, right? So, yeah, freaky. So, yeah.
Of course you did.
And at this point, I'm like, I'm so done with this ghost tour. And, like, we had gone past a coffee shop, and I was like, guys, I'm going to the coffee shop. Just come find me when you're done. Because I was like, I don't want to deal with this again. But we, like, went back, and we had, like, I don't know, 2 or 3 more nights to the trip. And then,
Yeah,
and
I
then,
don't know if it was even that much.
yeah, and
But
then, yeah, like something like that. And then we came back up to Barry, and Bean, you should tell them what happened to you your first night at home.
Okay, so, yeah, it was that night. I don't remember what time we got home, but that night when we got home, I went to bed, and I just remember being, like, feeling completely freaked out still, but, I fell asleep, and at this time, my bed, so, like, Kristen and I's room are right beside each other, and our beds were on the same wall, so basically it was just, like, the wall was separating us, and our beds were right beside each other. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, Kristen?
Yeah. So we were basically side by
And then
side
our
with
beds
just
were
the wall
right
between
beside
us. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, so I fell asleep, and then I woke up, like, I want to say, like, it was either in the middle of the night or early morning. It was still dark out, but I just woke up, and I couldn't, like, my eyes were open, but I couldn't move, like, it was literally, like, what they described as sleep paralysis.
That's
And at
weird.
the time, I didn't, like, I don't know if I made the connection.
So you never had
About,
sleep
like, when they
paralysis
learned
before this
on the
either?
ghost tour. No, I never had
So
it.
that's
That's
weird.
weird,
Like you
yeah.
both just happened to have it that
Yeah.
spot.
And she didn't know it had happened to me.
Oh, because you didn't
5
say
years.
anything.
Yeah.
So she had no
Wow.
idea. Like it didn't even
Yeah.
get in her head or anything.
Yeah.
That's weird.
So it happened 5 years
So I-
apart to both of us.
That
So
house
I
needs to
woke
be
up,
torn
and
down.
it was like, okay, so I woke up, and then I couldn't move, and there was like, I had really loud, like, there was like almost like ringing in my ears. They were just like this noise.
Oh my god,
So I was, like,
Justine.
thinking to myself, okay,
Sorry for 1 sec.
all I have to do,
Can I tell you something?
pardon?
So
Yeah.
it's so weird that you said there's ringing in your ears because like I've like watched like other videos of people talking about like sleep paralysis and like spirits and stuff like that, and like people
Yeah.
who experience like some sort of like paranormal like visit and stuff and have these experiences state that like that common like element that they have is some sort of like weird ringing in their ears. So it's just so weird that you said
Really?
that. Yeah, like it's so weird. I've heard like I just recently heard a
Yeah.
whole bunch about that.
Yeah. But yeah, Bean, you were like
Oh,
trying
God.
to bang on the wall or something, weren't you?
Yeah, so I just remember thinking to myself, like, I don't know if I actually made the connection, like, what was going on, like, that I was having sleep paralysis, or that I was even thinking of a ghost tour. I just knew that I was awake, but I couldn't move, and it had never happened to me before. So I remember thinking, like, all I need to do was turn over in bed and try and bang on the wall, because I knew Kristen was right beside me, and I wanted to wake her up. I think, I don't know how long it lasted, like, maybe a couple of minutes, or not even, but I don't remember exactly it ending. I just remember going into Kristen's room when it ended and, like, telling her, I'm pretty sure I told you what happened, but I slept in your room the rest of the night, and even when I was in your room with you, I was, like, still terrified to fall back to sleep.
Yeah, and I was really freaked out too.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
We slept, like, we had sleepovers for like 4 nights after
Oh,
that because we were so scared.
that's so creepy.
I was scared for, like, the next week to sleep alone, like, it was really creepy.
Yeah, and it's just terrifying, like, because I think neither of us, when it happened to us, neither of us knew what sleep paralysis even was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like it'd
Yeah.
be way more scary, like
Yeah.
not knowing what was happening than like recognizing, okay, this is what people call sleep paralysis. But if you have absolutely no idea what's
Yeah.
happening to your
Yeah.
body, that would be so scary.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
It
just
was just the weirdest feeling. Like, I felt like I was awake, but it's just, like, I felt literally like I was a rock. Like, I couldn't move.
yeah.
It was just weird.
I'm afraid to sleep tonight.
We're all talking about saga
Oh god.
Oh my god, that's insane,
Yeah.
Justine. Oh my god.
Yeah, so really weird. She didn't know what
it was
happened to me,
scary.
and then it happened to
I'm
her.
never going on that ghost tour again.
Yeah. At first I was like, that sounds so cool. Like that'd be fun. I'm like, no
No.
way. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
That's weird. Did anything happen to your brother, or is he just like?
No.
Oh, of course.
Shane,
Of
Shane,
course.
he's the one that like summons the like demons that like he doesn't get
Yeah.
anything for. Like they just come out to you.
Demons like it's too easy. It's
Yeah.
like yeah.
Oh my god. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I remember that the first time we went on the tour, like, usually I'm not, like, Kristen knows, or you guys probably know that I love, like, ghost, or, like, horror movies and stuff, and, like, I don't usually get nightmares and stuff. Like, I'm not usually freaked out by stuff.
Yeah.
But I remember the first time we went on the remember that house and that story like completely freaked me out, and I just had the weirdest feeling in my gut about it. Because I remember, Kristen, do you remember when we went back to Savannah the second time? We literally like we drove past the house or like in that neighborhood, and we were like, oh my gosh, there's the house. Like,
Yeah.
or we're close to it. Like I remember like the house like the service down, but it like literally stuck with me. Like I remembered it exactly like where it was.
Yeah.
And then the second time we went to it, that happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like your intuition, your gut feeling,
Yeah.
just like
Yeah.
it definitely
Knows.
means something. Like you
Yeah.
just like sense something there.
Yeah, so it's pretty freaky. I
Oh
don't
my
know.
God. That's
But-
like one of the creepiest stories I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Justine does I get freaked out by scary movies and stuff, probably in part because of that. But
Yeah,
like
no
Justine
kidding.
likes scary movies, and so like it wouldn't be like her to get that reaction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Justine.
Pardon?
Thanks for sharing your story.
No problem. I can't really hear all that well. You guys on speakerphone?
Yeah, it's on speaker, sorry Bean, because we're recording you.
Yeah, it's fine.
Did she not know she's on my video?
Oh yeah. No, she knows. She knows.
she knows.
Yeah.
You're gonna be on the internet.
Okay, I'll let you go, Bean. Good luck on your math test tomorrow.
Okay.
Good luck, Bean.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for having me, Tina.
Well, thanks for being on my channel.
Bye.
Bye. That's just wild, though.
Yeah.
It's like you didn't even put
Yeah.
like the idea in her head or
Yeah,
anything. Like the fact that
that's-
she had the same experience and neither you before you went there like
Had
had
ever had
that.
sleep
That's just weird.
paralysis.
That makes me
Yeah, that's-
question the whole like I don't know.
Is it demons or
Like
is it just like
is
a
it like
sleeping thing?
is it an actual psychological thing or is there something more to that? You know?
Yeah. I don't know. I'm getting
That's so crazy. Do you want to share your story, Amanda?
Yeah. So know how we were talking about like intuition and stuff like that?
Mm-hmm.
So I have no idea if this is what this was, but I'll tell the story and then you guys can tell me. But okay, so there was this house in Nova Scotia. So I was living in Nova Scotia at the time, and there was this house that was for sale, and they were selling like all of like everything inside of it. I don't know, like they wanted to sell the house plus all the stuff, but they were starting with the stuff inside the house first.
All the
Anyways,
contents.
yeah, all the contents, and then, anyways, my uncle was like, go look at the house. Maybe you guys can buy it. So I went with my mom and myself and my dad, and we all go in, and we're like looking at all the knickknacks and stuff, but we're like genuinely interested in looking at the house to buy it. And we go upstairs, and the second I walked to the house, I was like, something doesn't feel right? And I'm like, okay, it's just my mind playing tricks on me, right? I'm like, okay, no big deal. So we're walking through, and I just had this like gut feeling to get out of the house.
Oh my
And I'm like, okay, man, it's an old house, so of course it's just your mind playing tricks on
Yeah.
you. It's like, okay, so I start walking through, and then we go upstairs, and the second that I put my foot on like the top step, I like almost started crying, like almost started like sobbing, right?
Crazy.
Like it was just like get out
You just, like,
of
got
the
that
house.
feeling.
Yeah, like this pressure in my chest. I felt like I was gonna start crying, and I was like, okay. So my mom was like, let's go look at the rooms and stuff. And I'm like, Mom, like we've gotta go. Like I don't like the feeling of this house. And she's like, we're just gonna look at the like front rooms, and then we can go. So okay, we'll do that. So we go to the front room, and I'm just like crawling and just anxious and just like full of bad energy.
That's crazy.
So we leave, and I'm like, we can't get this house. Like, we can't live here.
There's no way you're
Like,
buying this
there's
house.
no
Yeah,
way.
bad
Like, I will
house.
never come home. I will run away.
Yeah.
And,
Do you want that, Mom?
yeah. Do you want me to run away from home? So, anyways, long story short, we didn't end up, like, buying the house. And then we find out from a family friend, like, 3 months later, that there had been 4 murders in the upstairs of the house.
Oh!
What the
Oh
heck?
my god,
Or-
that's insane.
Yeah, 4 murders in the upstairs of that house.
Oh my god.
Like, wait,
Your
was it like
intuition's
one
bang on.
incident? Like one
Yeah,
person
like, all 4 were murdered at the same
Like
time.
the same time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and like in the front room too. The one that I was like,
Oh, that's
this is
creepy.
just
That's
not good news.
crazy.
That's
Mhm.
terrifying.
No wonder they were selling it and everything.
Weird.
innit?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah,
"Ugh."
just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
creepy.
I
Yeah.
kind of believe in like energies.
Me
kind
too.
Of lingering.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And gut feeling. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like your intuition
Oh, gut
is
feelings,
always like, it's right.
Yeah, it was like that whole thing of like, it's an old house, so maybe I am just making
when you
it up
feel
in my
that
mind.
sick and
but
mad,
Yeah.
like I feel like there's a difference between being like, oh, this is creepy, than
Yeah.
like I can't be here.
Yeah.
There's just something not right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's so crazy.
So yeah, that's my,
Oh my
little
god.
story.
Yeah.
But it was terrifying, and I'm like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
Good thing you didn't buy it.
Right?
Oh, God.
Probably
I
haunted.
know. I know. So
Oh my god.
I think somebody has bought it since, but
That would be
Oh my
so
God.
terrifying to move into a house like I wonder, like, what the, like, ratio is of people moving into houses where there have been murders, of people knowing versus people not knowing.
Yeah.
Like, because why would you
Do they
even
have
want
to-
that house?
I think you
Yeah.
They
have
have to disclose
Yeah,
that
I think you
information.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, my parents actually looked at the house in Nova Scotia, and they said, just to let you know, like, it's been reported that this house is haunted. And my parents are like, okay, thanks.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you have to
Yeah.
disclose, like, if there's, like, a crime committed or different
There's a
things
lot of
like
people that
that.
are uneasy about that stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear my other story?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Alright, so anyways, it must have taken place in, I guess, it was middle of elementary school, maybe late elementary school. I can't remember, but I had a loft bed, and it was one of those IKEA loft beds where you can just stick your desk underneath and stuff. So one morning, it was probably around 11 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning, and I'm just like lazing around. I think it was like a Saturday morning. I don't know about you guys. I can't sleep in that late anymore, but like when I was a teenager, I could like sleep until 11 on a Saturday morning, like every weekend. So sleeping in, I'm like, okay, probably should get ready now. So I'm getting up the, energy to get up, and I'm starting to lean up, and then I hear a giggle underneath my bed, and I swear to God, it was the most creepy, realistic, like, it was almost like a kid or like a creepy doll.
That's
And it was like
ew.
I'll like mimic it, it's gonna freak you guys out. It was like a and it was that pattern. It was so creepy.
That's really
And my
Oh.
body like froze. Like I literally froze in my motion of like sitting up, and I just like went back down again. I'm like, hell no. Yeah, it was the creepiest thing ever. And I was like, what was that? And obviously your like brain's going through like logical explanations. I'm like, do I have a toy that would make that noise? Like, no. Was it coming from outside? And like, no, like you can tell the difference between something coming outside your window and something that's literally right underneath your bed.
Yeah.
Like there's you can tell like the sound, like the difference in the location, right? So I'm like, okay, maybe I like imagined it or whatever. Like I'm like, okay, gotta get out of bed, getting up the courage to get out of bed again, and then I hear the same thing. It's like, and I'm not even kidding, guys. Like, I could, when they say like, I don't know, I always like say that like if I ever like saw a ghost or whatever, like I wouldn't freeze, I'd be fine. Like that's bullshit because my body literally froze. Like I could not move a muscle, and I was sweating so profusely. Like I was so terrified, and I'm like trying to think of explanation. So this was around, it was early elementary school. I'm trying to remember what grade it was. It was around the time that you came back from Nova Scotia, I think. Because I got it in my head. I'm like, maybe her and Maya are like surprising me. I thought maybe you guys like came to my house, and my mom was like, oh, we'll sneak you in, and like I thought maybe you guys were playing a joke and like you wanted to surprise me in my room in the morning.
Which is
And
understandable
then,
because you've done it before.
and then I'm like, oh, maybe they're giggling because they're trying to stay quiet. Like I was literally thinking of every possible explanation. I can't talk, of why this would be happening. And then the same thing happened. Like I would be just starting to get the courage. I'm like, I'm gonna climb down really quickly and run out the door. And I heard the same thing again. It was that. I'm like, like, what is this? So it must have happened like 3 or 4 times. And I was like, at the same time, I was like trying to like get the courage to look and see what it was. So I was like slowly, ever so slightly, like inching myself over to the side of the bed to try and like peek over and see what was happening. But I literally couldn't do it. Like I was so scared. So I literally was just frozen in bed for a good, I mean, this probably went on for a good like 15 minutes. I couldn't move. Like I was so scared. And then finally, like I hadn't heard it for long enough time. I'm like, this is my chance. Like I gotta go. So I didn't even go. So like the way the bed was set up, it was against the wall, and then the ladder's down this way, and I was scared that something was here, and then my door's over here. So I didn't even go down the ladder. I didn't even look behind me. I climbed down the end, like the back of the bed, like, because there's like still bars there. So I climbed down there, opened my door, and just ran downstairs as fast as I could. I didn't even look behind me. I didn't take a second to just see what was there. I was too terrified. Ran downstairs, and I just freaked out because my mom and my brother were downstairs. So I started telling them what was happening. My mom's like, oh, you're probably just dreaming. I'm like, Mom, I swear to God, I was not asleep. Like, I was so awake. I was so scared. And yeah, it was just so vivid. I remember, I'm like, you gotta come to my room with me because see if there's something there. Like, I don't know what's there. And I remember Jeremy, because he's so young then, he came upstairs with me, and he like comes into my room, and he's like karate move, like ready to go, ready to take on the ghost. And really, he's like goes in my closet, and he's like, oh!
let's go.
Yeah. Like, that's so weird. Like,
That is
to this
weird.
day, I cannot think of a logical explanation for what happened.
Yeah.
Like, there was none.
Ew.
It was so
Yeah.
creepy.
And it's such a weird time of the day too. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
not
you
like
usually
middle of the
think this
night.
stuff like happens at nighttime, but
Yeah.
It's like a non-creepy time.
Yeah.
Like, you're like,
Yeah, it's
"Meh,
11 in the
like,
morning,
Yeah.
like-
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it was
Oh.
weird.
Yeah, you normally think you're safe at that time.
Yeah.
Now we know
Yes,
we're not
yeah.
safe any
You're
hour
never
than us.
safe.
Yeah, I really, like, started to dislike my bed after that because
Yeah.
you can't, like,
See.
I used to feel safe because I was higher up, but, like, you also can't see what's going on. So, like,
Yeah.
it's a fear of, like,
Yeah.
not knowing what was underneath that freaked me
Yeah.
out. So,
I
like,
used to get
I
that
liked
with
when I
my
got
bed
leveled.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're like you're high up, so you feel safe, elevated, but then like there's so much room underneath of you
And you're like,
for
what's
like
there?
paranormal activity.
There's too much room for
Yeah.
paranormal activity
Yeah.
under there. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Do you want to tell like one of your stories and then I'll tell like some sleep paralysis things?
Yeah, so mine's like
Yeah.
not that. Mine's like a, I guess like a feel good kind of creepy story.
Yeah, it's not super spooky, but it's
Yeah,
still
but
good.
it's like paranormal, I guess we'll call it. But so my grandpa, this was like way back. I think I was in grade 5 at the time. My grandpa passed away, and my mom worked at the time at a daycare in a gym, and he passed away only like a few months prior. I can't remember the exact timeline, but she was the one that would like open it up in the morning, and she had the key. So she came in and she went to open up the daycare, and like against the wall was like this massive zucchini. And the backstory to that is my grandpa had a garden in his backyard, and he used to grow like all his vegetables. And my mom at the time was thinking like I would kill for one of his massive zucchinis. So like
So weird.
yeah, so she goes in there and there's one against the wall. And I was like, when I was telling you guys earlier, it's not like people go to work out and they're like, oh, could you like store my zucchini for me while I'm like
Yeah.
in the gym?
Can you put this in a safe location?
Yeah, like that just doesn't happen.
Gotta get those gains.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's like it's not like a store-bought size one either. It's not like, oh, it was just like kind of normally large, like it was like a homegrown style one. So we think that's definitely like 100% a sign from him because it was just too weird for it to be
You can't
in a
make
gym.
that up.
No, exactly. Like
Who
why
would have
would
put a
we there?
giant zucchini there?
Yeah, and she went and asked like the girl at the front desk and everything, and they're like, no, like no one's been in there, like it's locked, like you're the first one, and like I didn't see anyone come in with the zucchini. So 100% a sign, like guardian angels believe in that, but yeah, that's
That's so
like
crazy.
it's just too bizarre. Like you can't explain stuff like that.
That's
But
super weird.
that's really nice though.
I wonder how it works
Yeah.
though. Like, how would a ghost just materialize something that's real? You know
I
what I mean?
know. And how'd
Like-
you get it in there too?
Yeah.
Like-
I really wish there was someone to witness like a floating zucchini.
Lean it against the wall and just like leave. Yeah, like you notice that. Like it's just
like
it's
are
too
in the early
bizarre.
morning cleaning stuff. Like,
Yeah.
like what?
Well, that's the thing
I
too.
just see a
Like,
zucchini fly by.
yeah, like wouldn't you think that someone, if they were cleaning it, would be like, oh, like there's a zucchini, maybe like it shouldn't be in a daycare at a gym, but like it was like placed there.
It's so
100%.
weird.
Yeah, it's just freaky, but
Oh
it's
my
like
God.
it's good though. Like that's the stuff you
Yeah,
hope
it's a
for.
feel-good thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like it's like comforting. Like my mom
yeah.
my mom was obviously like, what is happening, but at the same time, like it's something you hope for. So like
Yeah.
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 She wanted that zucchini.
She wanted that zucchini so bad, and she
Yeah.
finally got
And she
it.
got it. So
Yeah.
it's good.
So you guys like are really craving a vegetable, just
Yeah.
like, really wish on
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
It
like
might
reach
just
out to
show
your passed away relatives and they may bring it.
Yeah. I wish I woke up with a zucchini in my bed instead of a sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
I'm like, Julio?
Like,
Replace Julio with
This can go like a completely different direction right now.
That's not.
She's like, that's not what I meant.
She's like, no vegetable.
I want to put it in my salad.
Yeah.
Not that kind of zucchini. Oh wait, that's an eggplant.
Oh yeah. To be fair, like you know,
Zucchini,
yeah.
eggplant, potato.
Yeah. You know, like
One's
you know,
purple, one's green.
yeah, they're both shaped similar. So like.
Alright.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god. So maybe I'll tell you one of my mini sleep paralysis stories.
Oh my gosh,
I probably had sleep paralysis like a good 10 plus times now. It's ridiculous.
it's scary.
It usually happens when I'm stressed out though. I got it I don't even know. I got it so many times first year university because I was like stressed, and I would get it every single night, I think, for like about a week.
Whoa.
And whenever I woke up, it was
that.
always 3 in the morning, which freaked me out because they always call 3 in the morning witching hour and stuff.
Oh,
So that's
no.
freaking creepy.
I did not know that. Jeez.
Apparently that's when
Wow.
spirits are most active and stuff. So I would literally look at my clock and be like, and not be able to sleep after it, and I was like so sleep deprived that was like I think it was exam week or like leading up to exams or something. It was brutal. But anyways, one of the worst ones I had, and most of them follow the kind of like demon theme, kind of similar to the whole like old hag thing that you're telling me, which is like so weird.
So creepy.
So this one, sleep paralysis, I was lying right on my back, and I've had sleep paralysis in different positions, but it often happens on the back, which is weird because I don't really sleep on my back. I always sleep on my stomach, and I can't really fall asleep unless I'm on my stomach or kind of on my side. So I was on my back, and I woke up, and my arms are pinned on my sides, and the sheet, like the blanket, is all, I think it was just my sheet because I could kind of see through it. My sheet was literally pinned like up over my head, like behind my head, and I felt like I was suffocating. And then there was like, I could see a shadow, and there was literally this thing like holding down my sheet so I couldn't get out.
That's so creepy.
So was the sheet like actually over your face?
It was actually like physically over my face.
Oh my.
So it was, I'm laying there and I'm like, like trying to like make, and all I could do is like get that kind of like grunting sound, and I'm trying to like move my fingers and stuff, and like I can't move, and I just like feel this like entity basically, like this evil thing holding the sheet over my head. It was like the worst experience because I thought I was gonna suffocate. I was so scared. And then so I was like struggling for a good like couple minutes, and then like finally like when your like sleep paralysis starts to like go away, you can kind of start to get like a little bit of feeling like in your fingers, and it kind of like starts to like come back. And I literally like finally got the strength to pull the sheet over, and I literally sat up in my bed and went and just like gasped for air. Like it was, and like that's how, and it's the weird thing is, so like when you wake up from a nightmare, like you can tell the difference between, you know, your like moment that you're sleeping to waking up. Like there's that
reality.
There's that reality. There's that like transition. And I'm pretty sure this was the first time I had sleep paralysis because I realized that there was no transition. Like I had been awake the entire time. That's what freaked me out.
So you're like,
because I was struggling, and I finally got the strength, or finally my body finally woke up so I could pull the sheet over and gasp for air.
So is it like you're stuck in a state of like you're like so close to being awake but not fully?
Yeah.
So you're conscious of everything else, but you're still like, So are your eyes open? Like has anyone seen?
My eyes are open. I haven't had anyone look at me, but my eyes were never like when eyes were never closed and then opened. Like my eyes were open the entire time. So I finally sat up.
Open too when I had it. Yeah.
I'm like gonna like put up a camera while I sleep tonight.
But like
I'm afraid.
But your eyes are like when you're like in deep sleep paralysis, the eyes are your only thing that you actually have control of in that time.
So you can move them.
So you can close them. So I've had certain sleep paralysis where like after that I like read up on it and I kind of like understood what it was. So like I had other sleep paralysis experiences where like they're still really freaking creepy, but like I knew what was happening, so I would close my eyes to prevent myself from seeing whatever was in my room until my body woke up and I could feel that feeling, and then I could get up. So like I would see something like at the end of my bed, and I'd like okay, you're having sleep paralysis, and I'd close my eyes so I don't have to see it until I wake up. It's so weird. But I had that. I had this other one where I was lying on my stomach, and I was again being pinned down. And I could see this, like, oh my god, it just, like, gives me, like, goosebumps thinking about it. But I saw this, like, dark shadow, like, in the corner of my eye. And it looked like almost like this weird horned, like, demon thing. And I literally could hear breathing in my ear. Like, it was just, like, this deep breathing in my ear.
Ooh, I just got you.
I know.
No, I'm like,
those are the two creepiest sleep paralysis things. I had another one that was kind of funny with me.
I should have worn a diaper here.
I
should have brought some diapers. Yeah. Sorry.
So wait, from what you can tell, do you think that the things, so like your body was paralyzed because of sleep paralysis, but the things that you were seeing, do you like
that sounds like demon-y.
I know.
Like,
Oh no, it totally. Yeah. No, I went like total like crazy like Christian like that week. Like I'm not a religious person in any means, but I'm not even kidding. Like I literally wore my cross to bed like for a week because I was so freaked out. Like I didn't know what to make of it. I'm like I'm having like demons like hold me like down in my bed every single night, and I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah, it freaked me out.
That's so scary.
Yeah,
it
was
so
scary.
scary.
I had such a hard time sleeping. I'm like, it's gonna happen again. I just know it's gonna happen again.
Oh my god.
Luckily, it doesn't happen very often anymore. But
like, where's wood so we can knock on it?
This wood. But this video is probably gonna be so long. So, I feel like we should cut it there.
Yeah.
But thank you guys for listening. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share share it with your friends. And also make sure you subscribe to my channel because I put up new videos every Mondays and Thursdays. And yeah, keep a lookout because I have lots of other Halloween themed videos coming up soon. So I hope you guys enjoy this and have a great night. And yeah, make sure you like get some sage for your house.
Yeah.
You know, say a prayer or keep the lights on when you go to sleep. But yeah, good luck, guys.
Oh my gosh.